वेलकम बैक टू दी LFC अहमदाबाद पॉडकास्ट। आज मैं हूँ रोशन एंड मेरे साथ है प्रोबेबली लिवरपूल के नेक्स्ट मिडफील्ड साइनिंग यश पराशर। आई थिंक Yash, just like we'll start with your thoughts for yesterday's game.
Okay. Yes. कल का game. Well, too hard to say, but I would still accept the 1 point that we had from the match.
Right.
मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि yeah, in the end there was no hope for me. तो एक वो जो goal आया लुइस डियाज का, so I'll take that 1 point because the circumstances that came up in the second half. मेरे को लगा नहीं था we will be able to save it, but
Right.
ठीक है वो one moment of brilliance from one guy. नहीं तो yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
Acha, like I just feel ki hasn't this been a problem for Liverpool all throughout all the seasons that we have lost by a point or two, because हमारा midfield kind of non-existent ही था after Coutinho. We did not have a midfield playmaker unless Thiago last season you consider last to last season he came. But then Liverpool has this problem of not having a creative midfielder after Coutinho left, but we still survived. But don't you think even with Salah, Firmino, and Mane, we had this issue of finishing? We had these phases where we could not finish off a ball.
Well, to be honest, now that you think of it, yes, we can say कि वो attacking midfielder का जो हमना loss था, some people justify it, but like I'm sort of on the different opinion with this, because if you think of it, अभी world में कोई भी number 10 नहीं है जो चल रहा है. So all the number 10s you had पहले past में you had Coutinho, you at the same time you had James Rodriguez, you had Ozil, you had so many number 10s at some point. But सबका career एक बार जाके downfall पे आ ही गया, because everyone had to convert into a number 6 or a number 8.
Right.
तो as far as I think of it, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि लिवरपूल के केस में we are not exactly missing out on attacking midfielder,
Right.
but more of the sort कि there should be someone who can actually, play as a number 8, but still actually like threaten the other team through his through balls. You don't have to actually score goals, but to break the team. Thiago अपने लिए करता है, at the same time defend भी करता है वो अच्छा खासा.
Right. And I think कल का midfield was pretty good. मेरे को ऐसा कुछ अजीब सा नहीं लगा कि where it did not feel like we were playing slow, although we had Milner. हम लोग का playmaking was pretty much amazing. Like after at least, let's say, if you think that Fulham was a lethargic start.
Yeah.
ये game तो हम लोग front foot पे ही निकले यार. It was brilliant actually, but I think Again, I'm kind of with you on this midfielder thing. Do we really need a midfielder, or do we want to convert these chances? Because even without a midfielder, we had 20 chances to convert,
Yeah. I think initially game में जब हमारे पास 11 प्लेयर थे, तब उनको ज्यादा chances को convert करना चाहिए था. Especially like there was a chance where Nunes had the ball just on his feet from Trent's cross, and he sort of missed it. उसके बाद there was a similar chance for him where he kind of scuffed the ball और वो post पे लग गया था.
Right.
Went by the post, and you would expect from the sort of amount that we have paid for him to actually finish those things. But ठीक है, new striker, he's having these issues, कोई problem नहीं है. But I still feel we are missing out on that punch, like ऐसा लगता है कि कई बार कुछ एक ऐसा driver अपने field से बाकी, because अपना in the middle, I always feel there should be someone who should drive towards the middle, like अपने पास वो काफी टाइम से lacking रहा है. We need someone who's like direct in the middle of the park. हमारे पास players हैं जो कि right wing पे, left wing पे, they try to come in all the time. ठीक है, but we don't have that one player who actually goes to the middle. The only player we have like that is Jota. And Jota used to do that. He was very straightforward. He would take on the center back himself. तो वो कभी-कभी मिस करते हैं अपन.
I think you bring that वो point एकदम perfect है कि like Luis Diaz, neither Luis Diaz neither Darwin are great dribblers of the ball. Like from what we have seen, they have pace, they can run behind, they can, let's say, finish, but they don't necessarily like take on a player.
that's the sort of thing I'm saying. We need the player who actually runs through the middle. What we can say कि Coutinho को अपन miss कर रहे हैं, but Coutinho was a very उसका drive था to the middle of the park. You must have, I mean, everyone remembers those matches against United where he was like taking on players to the middle of the park.
Right.
तो ये चीज कई बार अपन lack करते हैं. Because through the middle, you have two ways to go basically. As a player also, you have two directions to go into. On the wing, you are kind of one-dimensional in the sense, and you also need a player to head the ball in. Right. So, मेरे हिसाब से we are missing that one player in the middle who can actually drive with the ball, you know.
Yeah. Achha, two questions in one is, are we having similar problem with Darwin? Just like initially, I mean, we cannot speculate hard on it, but just it looks like that. We are having this issue. What we had with Benteke is like apna playing style changes completely, where we're trying to serve Darwin, and Darwin is trying way too hard to like impress and try to get those goals initially. And because I think I was listening to एक NBC का पंडित को मैं सुन रहा था, and he was saying कि Liverpool played much better once Darwin was off, because now they could play their regular on the ground balls rather than over the top. Yeah. Do you think that is the problem, or do you think like Darwin can be shaped into this person where once we have, let's say, Fabio Carvalho integrated much better, then you can do those penetrative passes behind those center backs, जो basically जो Zaha का goal था, you know, something that kind of a penetration. Do we need that obviously, but again, I feel like वो Benteke वाला problem है कि like you have now this target man which Liverpool always wanted, but do you want him to be on the ground target man, or like, because Premier League is very physical, and I think you will be surrounded by defenders. And in my mind, I somewhere felt कि like, no, ये होने ही वाला था. That red card was brewing, क्योंकि Crystal Palace, West Ham, these kind of teams, you know, they prod you, they poke you. You have to keep your head calm, and I think he just lost it in that moment also.
Yeah, I think it was also sort of naive from him to do that, because it's your home debut. I mean, what did you expect? मतलब कोई भी game में there will be, देखो सामने वाले defender भी मजाक तो करने आए नहीं है Anfield पे. They are here to win. So they're just doing their job. Every defender in the world does that, okay?
Yeah.
So even if our defender was doing it, we had Lovren, we had Sako, who were consistently doing this thing.
They would always pull the shots,
So you have to be patient, and the only way you can answer the other person is through scoring, right?
Yeah.
So उस पे focus होना चाहिए, ठीक है? अभी that thing is for Klopp to sort out. I'm not thinking of this Darwin issue as too much of a big thing.
Oh yeah, because, I don't think the red card thing is an issue, because he's still 22. Like and I mean, Anfield can do that to you. Like even if it does to the opposition, it can do to you that you want to impress so hard, like you want to fight back to that provocation. So like मैं है देख मैं यहाँ का गुंडा. So I think in that sense he kind of lost the plot. If he had shoved him, maybe चलता yellow card मिलता. He shouldn't have headbutted him. But then coming back to that technical aspect of how Liverpool has to play, what do you think? Like, is he a glorified Benteke, if you have to put it in such bad terms?
I think it's way. We are sort of undermining his ability that way.
Right.
But I think अपने को जो एक चीज देखनी है is like we need players who are good on not just in the air but also with their movement. ठीक है, Benteke, I would count him as a pure target man because he was very good around the 6-yard box. Okay, वहाँ पे तेको हर जगह head करने मिलेगा. He would be there too. But Darwin Núñez, I think he can also be good when going on the side. He has that ability to run with the ball. Even when he plays for the national team, he doesn't exactly play as the only striker. So he knows how to play that format. Benteke जब अपन ने लिया था, so he was always accustomed to playing for teams that would eventually sit back and then play with him as a target man. Usko ball doge, he would control it and the other player would make the run off him. Or he would be the one in the D to head the ball in or something like that.
Right.
The most important thing as Liverpool, as a team, we need to understand that both our wingers are not the best crossers.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो जब target man होता है, तो we need those wingers to also put in crosses quite quickly, or like before, so that the player who's there has a chance to head the ball.
Right.
अपने case में ऐसा है, we are more dependent on our fullbacks. So we sort of have this. We need a player who actually has the ability to also play those small passes around the D area with Luis Diaz, with Salah, and
Yeah.
also capitalize on the crosses from our fullbacks. So I think
Yeah.
he has the ability. अब वो तो time के साथ ही पता लगेगा, because usually what I've observed is that Klopp doesn't actually start someone so quickly.
Yeah, to be honest, though, it is very surprising, and I think it is just because since Jota is injured, he's getting to start these games. As soon as Jota comes back, I think Darwin will have to sit back and understand the pace of the game, what his role is in the team, and how he has to play around. अच्छा, इसके वजह से और एक thing I feel like uh, first half, like post Nunes and before red card, after red card, in that sense, I feel like Salah had more freedom to do what he wanted after Nunes went off, because I think the instruction for him with Nunes on the field is to feed him. And so Salah was feeding him more than being a little bit selfish, which obviously Salah selfish होते हुए 2-3 chance miss करता है, but और 2 goal भी मारता है. So do you think that that adjustment will hurt Liverpool coming in the coming games, because we can't seem to keep a clean sheet, but we have to overscore the other team? So
yeah, that's true. But I think the reason we saw Salah more involved in the game was not because Nunes was out, but more of the sort that we were one man down. So we had to compromise and put someone in the middle of the park,
right,
and leave out on the wing. Okay.
Right.
So uski वजह से I sort of felt like, as a normal viewer, you see that Salah is more involved because he was more around the scoring region. He was not on the wing, but he was more on the area where you can take shots from.
Right.
And regarding this thing that you were talking about, whether when Jota comes back, he would obviously be pressurizing more on Nunes. तो उसका मेरे को यही लगता है कि अपने टीम में जो अभी काफी सारे स्टार्टर्स हैं, तो सबसे पहले अपना स्टार्टर है Fabinho, who's probably, I think there's no one in the team who can replace Fabinho as a number.
I don't think so. Yeah. 6. Yeah.
So Fabinho in his role is fixed. And if you think of it, उसको भी हम लोगों ने 6 महीने तो बिठा करके रखा था.
Right.
To let him know what is expected out of him.
Right.
So when we are trying to actually, and I think Klopp काफी rigid है इस मामले में, that if he doesn't trust a player, he would never put him out.
Right.
So if Darwin Núñez is actually coming on and playing these parts, I think he does trust him.
Acha, let's say post Jota, when Jota comes back, and let's say Jota and Darwin and Lewis, everybody is fit. Do you think something like this would work for us, where Darwin starts on the wing and Jota starts through the center, and then Luis Diaz comes in the game? So then let's say you can have Jota out, put Darwin in the center, and have Luis Diaz. Because I think one thing that I'm not super convinced with Luis Diaz is he's not a 90-minute starter. He, at least in one season or half a season, his impact has been more when he comes post 60 minutes and people are tired, then he can take them on. But when he starts a game, even Champions League final ke pehle bhi maine bola tha ki, like, if he starts the game, we're going to fuck it up. And I think that's what happened basically. So
he sort of, I think
he falls off automatically.
Yeah, he sort of goes down in his own energy. Maybe that has to do with what is expected out of him also, because kal काफी भाग रहा था वो to cover on the left back also. He was doing all his effort. But when you sort of do that, Mane was doing it for us. You cannot just expect a player to reach up to Mane's fitness levels.
True.
At that same without having a preseason. So,
and I think to be honest, let's say considering some of the last season ke end ke 4-5 games, this was probably one of the best Luis Diaz games. He was electric. He was there. उसने tackles भी किए, उसने थोड़ा बहुत dribble भी किया, and then the goal, obviously. Again, it's just a comparison to the other games that he has played. In an absolute sense, definitely Luis Diaz's expectation hai. So, hopefully that comes out. And I think I'll probably end this podcast with this one question, which regards two players. I was reading this Liverpool Echo article, and then there were people, obviously, these are English fans who don't have brains much, but they want to talk about it. Yeah. But they said Fabinho is a second-tier player just because he slipped and let Zaha go past him. Are you worried about Fabinho just for the first two games, let's say.
No, come on. That's just fucking bullshit. I mean, like Fabinho, he's irreplaceable in the team. Once he's out of the team, you
True.
realize that there is no other player who can do what he
We have
does.
absolutely struggled without Fabinho. No doubt in that. But I mean, are there are the pessimistic fans seeing something that us over optimistic fans not seeing? Is what I meant to ask you.
Well, I always say that people are always going to be pessimistic. There, उनको ऐसा लगता है कि हर चीज में you can find a replacement for someone. It's
I
not
guess.
how a club works. You work like you sign players. You have people, 9 people on the bench. You cannot just buy a player for 2 matches and be like, okay, अब हमारे पास 10 player है. उसके बाद क्या करोगे? तुम्हें किसी को डीरजिस्टर करना पड़ेगा तुम्हारे प्रीमियर लीग टीम में से. So that's not how it
Oh,
works, right? हर
yeah.
चीज में अपन signing ले लिया.
I mean,
Midfielder चाहिए, yes, but midfielder की बात आ रही है, but we also had a lot of new recruitments. And if you think
true.
of it, we have Harvey Elliott, who was probably, I
The
think Luis
best
Diaz
player.
scored the goal. I think the best player in our team yesterday was Harvey Elliott.
Oh my God, he played so well. I am so happy that he's getting all of this Premier League experience. He's going to be very. I feel like by the end of the season, Fabio Carvalho and Harvey Elliott will be
Yeah.
the most pivotal players who can even, let's say अगर हम league नहीं भी जीतते हैं because we had to adjust to the squad and it takes a full season for us to do so. Even if we finish second and third, I think these two players will be the absolute standout. And I was talking to Vatsal that time. I feel yeah, Fabio Carvalho looks so much Coutinho-esque, like the way he dribbles the ball, the way he like takes on people. बहुत Coutinho जैसा दिखता है खेलते हुए भी, just playing.
Yeah. He looks like इंडिया के गांव के बच्चे होते हैं ना जो कुटिन्हो जैसे
कुछ
स्किल
छपरी
होती है.
वाले
बाल भी है, उसको हल्की सी मूंछ आ रही है, प्यूबर्टी हिट हुई है अभी. तो yeah, definitely. I think those two players, I mean, some clubs have the approach that they just want to loan out all their players and eventually they lose it. I'm not going to say the names
Yeah,
of those clubs, but they
I
have
know.
lost a lot of players because they just loan them out.
Right,
Abhi,
right.
we have to understand this part that you cannot have a trade-off between also bringing in new talent into the team and also
And
like signing more players at the
more
same time.
players. Right, absolutely. Acha, probably last question. I think हम लोग जब group chat में बात कर रहे थे, we were kind of talking about Van Dijk, and the thing that people basically, for the goal that Zaha scored, there were two aspects, like like two sides of the coin. First side of the coin is he should have kept going to to go through his eyesight, just scare him with his body, and then he would have scuffed his shot maybe. But again, Liverpool does not play like that. So he did not want to go onto the ground to do a sliding tackle, but he stopped, thinking the angle is covered enough for Allison to take care of it. So I feel like I'm in the first part where he should have just ran through, like just gone through, because agar wo cut bhi jata, even if Zaha would have given the drop of a shoulder and again scored, then that was Zaha's brilliance, right? At this point, it feels like wo ruk gaya and then he didn't commit with the tackle. What do you think about that? And that would be the
I think brilliance to his case में भी था because the way he scored the goal, there was no
also.
chance he could have scored. Like literally
absolutely.
it hit the post and that was the only chance that he had. Like 1% chance था कि वो चीज hit करेगी post और अंदर जाएगा.
हाँ, क्योंकि अगर वो इतना सा भी बाहर लगता तो बाहर आता वो, like इतना सा भी outside the post
अंदर होता तो एलिसन के range में था. The finish, I think the finish, we cannot deny that the finish was too good.
Mm-hmm.
How I think about the situation, sometimes I do feel that Van Dijk kind of holds himself back.
Mm-hmm.
I also made this point that I don't know whether he feels confident enough to actually like go at full pace or like go into a slight tackle, considering he has come up from an injury.
Right.
So I'm not really sure whether that's the case, but usually like he's a smart defender. He knows where to cover his angle off. Maybe he was expecting that Zaha will indeed drop his shoulder and come inside. And like when you have a keeper like Allison, you do trust him to like make those saves. Yeah. But at some point, you're just going to be like, okay. I think
at the end of the day, it was just more like you know these players very well, but in that moment you have to anticipate and commit to one thing, and let's pray, but so final thoughts on like next game is Manchester United, and so I guess the question is like, do you think we are 4 points behind City, or is it too early to say, because City can also come through this problem of trying to adjust to their squad with Haaland as well? Like they'll have the similar problem like us, or do you think they've adjusted? And what do you think about United game? Just one sentence would be fine, and then we'll preview the game anyways.
Well, for the chances for the Premier League chances, I think it's way too early to comment anything regarding how the season goes. Because
Right.
I'm expecting a lot, not just from City, but I'm expecting a lot from other teams like Arsenal and Tottenham. Now,
Right.
if these teams play well, I think City can lose points over there also, and so can we. So
Right.
I don't think this season is going to be a two-way battle like last season. So it's a
Right.
long season, so we just have to. I think काफी गंदा हुआ ये जो अपन दो ड्रॉ है अपने पास, but the season is long. Let's just put it.
Perfect. So on that note, on that positive note of us doing well in the season, thank you, Yash, for being here. Hope to see you more around. We always enjoy having you. Probably we'll do one long form where we get into the formations and stuff. वो मजा आता है. I think we'll definitely get to that. We can
do some previews also before big
Right.
games.
Yeah, I think we could probably do like after 5 games, we can see what formations we are playing and how we are set up. So that would be a good discussion to have. But for now, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. If you guys like our content and if you want to keep supporting us, like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well. We are LFC Ahmedabad. And so see you guys in the next podcast. Thank you.